Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. I'm going to be showing you today how to make these delicious scones. It's bank holiday weekend, the sun is shining and I thought, wouldn't it be lovely to have a little treat of clotted cream, jam and scones while sitting out in the garden. If you think that scones are difficult to make, don't worry, these are incredibly simple. And I'll also put all the measurements and timings in the comments so you too can have a go at making some. So let's get into the video. I started off by putting some baking block into a bowl. You could use butter, but I don't usually in my bakes. And then I've added in some flour. This just gets mixed together with a knife because the butter was supposed to be cubed and I didn't. And then you just need to mix it together until they're nicely combined. My recipe says until it's like breadcrumbs, but essentially you just want to make sure you haven't got any big lumps of that butter in there. Once you've done that, you can add in your sugar. These scones don't actually have a lot of sugar in them at all, which is fantastic because you're going to be adding a lot on top, and you give it a little stir and then it's time for the milk. Now I've got two containers here. I've got my jug for measuring out and I've got a ramekin. So I'm putting my milk in the jug. Normally I'd just put it straight into the bowl, but actually this milk needs to go in the microwave. So you just put the ramekin to the side for later, and that milk now goes in the microwave for 30 seconds. It doesn't need to be boiling hot, it just needs to be slightly warmed. That's a little drop of vanilla essence going in, and then I'm just going to put some baking powder into my dry mix and give that a stir around so everything's nicely combined. Now when you're adding the liquid, the recipe said to make a little bit of a well in the bottom. So I did exactly as it said. I don't know where this recipe came from. I've been using it for years. It's just saved on my phone. So if anybody does know, please pop it in the comments because then I can give them credit for it, because it is a fantastically easy recipe and it works every time. Just add the milk in a little at a time and give it a stir in between. This is the part where you could really overwork it, so you just want to be careful not to mix it too much. I did mine in 3 goes, and even after that last little drop I realised it was still slightly dry, so I just put in a drop of normal milk. Because it was such a small amount I didn't worry about it being heated. Mix it until it's just combined, but don't be tempted to over mix it because that will ruin the texture. So the next thing I do is put down a piece of greaseproof paper. As you may already know, if I can find a shortcut to something, I will do it. And I hate trying to clean flour off the work surface. If you've ever put flour and water together, you will know it makes a glue. So cleaning it up is quite awkward. This way it just means that my cleaning process is a bit quicker and easier. So I put a pile of flour in the corner and then I just spread some flour over it to make sure that my dough's not going to stick. And then I'm just going to turn that dough out onto it. As you can see here, there's still a few bits that aren't mixed, but that doesn't matter. It will get incorporated in a second. So all I do is sprinkle a little bit of flour on the top, not too much because you don't want to dry it out, and then give it a pat down. I don't even bother getting out the rolling pin to roll it. Essentially, this dough needs to be quite deep so that you can get the rise on the scones. And then I've got my cookie cutter here. I think this is a 5cm one, and I like to use the flat side rather than the crimped edge. And just dip it in your flour and push it straight down into the dough. Now apparently with scones, if you twist the cookie cutter while it's in there, that means that you're going to get an uneven scone when it comes out of the oven. So just push it straight down and pull it straight back up again. Pop the scones that you've already cut out onto the tray. If, like me, I found that some of mine were a little bit too thin where I'd pushed the dough out too much, so I just left those so that they could be remixed into this dough again, and just keep pushing together all the oddments and cutting out more scones until the dough is fully used up. Once you've got them all cut, pop them onto your baking tray. I had 2 where I wondered if I should fit them on or not, but scones don't really spread out that much, so I thought I'd give it a go. And then this is my favourite bit, the cleaning up of the flour. As you can see here, if you just pull the edges of the greaseproof in together, roll it up, no mess at all. So the last thing that you need to do before the scones go in the oven is just get that ramekin of milk and give them just a little brush over the top. You can use an egg wash with this if you've got an egg, but I didn't have any in, and milk works just as well. And then they're ready to go in the oven. Now these are then when they come out of the oven. A few of them have kind of slid off to the side, but this is home baking and this is how things go. They're still going to get eaten because they're still delicious. I left them on the side to cool, and once they were ready, it was time to eat. Now I've always heard that scones shouldn't be cut with a knife, but you should be able to break them apart, and these broke apart beautifully. I've left them to cool because you don't want to be putting the cream onto a hot scone. It will melt all over. But this is just clotted cream going on. I know there's going to be a massive debate here whether you should put on jam first or clotted cream first. You can let me know if you think I've done it right. You can let me know if you think I've done it wrong. This is just the way I prefer it. And I also know that somebody will say there's too much clotted cream on here, but this is a treat. It's not something you have every day. And if you're going to have it, why not put a good amount on? So once I put that clotted cream on, I just pop a little bit of jam on top. and then they are ready to eat. Look at these scones. They are so delicious. You may have spotted as well that I do them in a smaller size. That just means I feel like I'm getting more when I eat them. So if you want to find out how to make these scones, I'm putting the full instructions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, click whichever button you can, and I'll see you in the next one.